The moment my sister, Lena, stepped into my new house, she wore that smirk, the one that meant trouble. She walked through the marble hallway like she owned it, dragging her expensive luggage and fake humility with her. "Wow, Maya," she said, her tone sweet but dripping with poison. "I never thought you could afford a place like this." I ignored the jab. I'd worked for 10 years, built my career from nothing, and finally bought this house. My dream home. But what I didn't know then was that letting Lena stay for a few weeks after her breakup would be the worst mistake of my life. Within days, she brought her new boyfriend, Evan, a smooth talker with a fake smile. They said it was just until they found a place. But their things kept multiplying. A toothbrush, then a suitcase, then furniture. And soon I realized they weren't planning to leave. It started so subtly that I almost didn't notice. "You work too much, Maya," Lena would say, lounging on my couch with her coffee mug. "You should relax a little. Don't worry, we'll keep an eye on the house." At first, it sounded caring, almost sisterly. After all, we were family, and I wanted to believe she meant well. But slowly, her presence began to swallow the quiet peace of my home. It started with her leaving clothes in the laundry, then her makeup scattered across the bathroom counter. She'd borrow my jewelry, my handbags, and laugh when I noticed. "Relax, sis," she'd say with that mocking little grin. "You've got so much, I doubt you'll miss one lipstick." Then came Evan, her new boyfriend. He was charming at first, polite even, offering to fix things around the house. "Just temporary," Lena had promised. "He's looking for work, and I didn't want to leave him alone." But soon, he was everywhere, on my couch, in my kitchen, using my Wi-Fi like he'd always lived there. They began hosting gatherings, loud ones, with people I didn't know. I'd come home from late meetings to find music blasting, my fridge empty, and beer bottles stacked like trophies on my marble counter. One night, I lost my temper. "Lena, this isn't a club," I shouted. "I work hard for this place. You can't just treat it like it's yours," she smirked, leaning against the kitchen island. "You're always so uptight. Maybe if you enjoyed life, you wouldn't be so lonely." Her words hit harder than I expected, and Evan, standing behind her, added softly, "Don't ruin your relationship with your sister over little things. Your family." His tone was calm, almost soothing, but his eyes carried something else, something calculating. Over the next few weeks, things escalated. Whenever I tried to assert control, Lena twisted it into guilt. "Wow, I can't believe you'd throw us out when we're struggling. Mom would be ashamed of how cold you've become." Each sentence was a knife disguised as kindness. And somehow I started doubting myself. Maybe I was being harsh? Maybe I could give them a little more time? Then one morning, I came home from work to find something strange. My key didn't fit. Confused, I tried again, harder this time. Nothing. Through the glass door, I saw Lena, dressed in my robe, sipping my coffee, like she belonged there. When she finally opened the door, her smile sent chills down my spine. "Oh, right," she said casually. "I forgot to tell you. No, we changed the locks." I stared at her, stunned. "What do you mean, we?" Evan appeared beside her, holding a folder. "You signed the papers, remember?" he said smoothly, opening the document. "The property transfer? It's official now." Lena's smirk deepened. "Don't look so shocked, Maya. You really should read before signing things." The world tilted. My throat went dry. I remembered the night she'd brought me those utility documents to sign after dinner, assuring me they were just for tax updates. It hit me. I'd handed her everything. My trust, my signature, my home. And as I stood on my own porch, locked out, watching my sister smile from inside my house, I realized the cruelest betrayal doesn't come from strangers. It comes from the people who call you family. The day I left my house felt like walking out of my own skin. I packed what little I could, a suitcase, a few photo frames, and the memories I could bear to keep. Every step down that marble staircase echoed with the sound of my defeat. Lena stood by the doorway, arms folded, eyes cold. "Don't make a scene," she said. "You agreed to this." I wanted to scream that I hadn't agreed to anything, that I'd been tricked. But her expression told me everything. She'd already decided who the victim was, and it wasn't me. I moved into my friend Nadia's small apartment on the other side of town. The room smelled of lavender and sympathy. She tried to cheer me up, making tea, talking about anything but the disaster that had become my life. But the silence between her words was heavy, the kind of silence that wraps around you when your world collapses. Mom called every night, her voice trembling through the phone. "She's your sister, Maya. Fix it somehow." How do you fix betrayal when it's signed in ink? I didn't have the heart to tell her the truth, that her beloved elder daughter had turned into a stranger with a forged pen and a heart full of greed. Days blurred into nights. I tried to focus on work. But every spreadsheet looked like a reminder of the hours I'd sacrificed to build that dream house, the one they were now posting about online. It started with a single photo. Lena and Evan standing by the pool, champagne glasses in hand. The caption read, "New beginnings. Dreams do come true. The comments were full of hearts and congratulations. Each one stabbed a little deeper. Then came more posts. The housewarming party, the new car in my driveway, even the dog I'd adopted now posing in their selfies. I watched in silence, scrolling through their fake perfection, wondering how two people could smile so easily after destroying someone who loved them. At work, I forced myself to smile. I told my coworkers I'd decided to downsize, pretending it was my choice. But every night, when I lay in Nadia's guest bed, I felt the weight of humiliation press against my chest like a stone. Sometimes, I'd drive by the old neighborhood, parking across the street from what used to be my sanctuary. I'd see the lights glowing warmly through the windows, shadows moving inside. They're shadows. My own reflection in the car window looked like a ghost, watching a life that wasn't hers anymore. I thought of confronting them, screaming the truth for the whole world to hear. But what would it change? The law was on their side, or so it seemed. I had no proof, no fight left, only a whisper inside me that refused to die. This isn't over. It repeated every night, like a quiet drumbeat beneath my grief. And deep down I knew, one day, that whisper would turn into something stronger. Not revenge, justice. It was a quiet Thursday night, the kind of night where silence hums louder than noise. Nadia had gone to bed early, and I sat alone in the small guest room, surrounded by half-packed boxes and half-healed wounds. I was supposed to be sorting old files for work, but fate had other plans that night. As I scrolled through the folders on my laptop, one caught my eye. House transfer. The title stabbed me like a needle. My finger hovered over it for a moment before I double-clicked. Inside were a few PDFs, scanned images, and a handful of emails I barely remembered sending. My stomach twisted as I opened the first document. It was the transfer agreement, the same one Lena had convinced me to review quickly one late evening after dinner. I remembered her words clearly. "It's just a formality, Maya. Tax stuff. Don't worry about it." I'd been tired, distracted. I didn't even read it. Now, staring at it again under the dim light of my laptop, something felt off. My signature looked too perfect, like it had been pasted. On impulse, I right-clicked the file and checked its properties. That's when I saw it. Created by Evan R. Modified. 2 days after I signed it, my breath caught in my throat. It wasn't my file at all. It was theirs. Digitally altered, my name forged, my trust shredded pixel by pixel. My hands shook as I opened the next email chain. Lena had forwarded me the document months ago, pretending to be helpful, but her tone was different now that I read between the lines. Every message was manipulation disguised as care. "I'll handle the details for you. You can trust me, sis." Each sentence felt like a slap. For hours, I dug deeper, searching through old attachments, message threads, bank statements. It was like assembling the puzzle of my own downfall. Then, just past midnight, I opened a folder I hadn't seen before, one buried inside Evan's shared drive backup. And there it was, a screenshot of a chat between Lena and Evan. Lena. "Once Maya's name is off everything, I'll move the money. She'll never see a dime." Evan. "Perfect. She'll blame herself anyway." My vision blurred. I felt my pulse pounding in my ears. The betrayal wasn't just financial. It was emotional, surgical, calculated. My sister hadn't just stolen my house. She'd stolen my peace, my faith, my sense of family. For a moment I sat there frozen, half in disbelief, half in rage. Then something inside me shifted. The sadness burned away, leaving behind something colder, sharper. I began to gather evidence, timestamps, document metadata, digital fingerprints, emails. I printed everything, labeling each file like I was building a case, because that's exactly what I was doing. By dawn, I had a folder full of proof that could destroy everything Lena and Evan had built on lies. I closed my laptop, heart still racing, and whispered to myself, "You took my home, but you forgot who you were dealing with." That night, I didn't cry. I planned. And for the first time since losing everything, I smiled. Not out of happiness, but because I finally had something they didn't expect: truth. The next morning, I woke before dawn. My body trembled with exhaustion, but my mind was sharp, alive. For months, I'd been the quiet one, the broken one, the sister they mocked behind my back. Not anymore. I slipped on my blazer, tied my hair, and walked into the bank with every piece of evidence I had. The forged documents, the manipulated signatures, the emails, the chat screenshots. I handed the folder to the manager, Mr. Collins, a calm man with tired eyes. He studied the papers for several long minutes, his brow tightening with every page. When he finally looked up, his tone changed. Respectful now. "Ms. Patel, this isn't just unethical. It's criminal." He leaned back in his chair, exhaling. "We can initiate an internal investigation immediately. You'll also want to speak to the police about pressing forgery charges." For the first time in months, I smiled. Not from joy, but from justice, slowly finding its way back to me. "Please do," I said. "And freeze any accounts connected to these transactions." He nodded. Already on it. Walking out of the bank that day felt surreal. The air was cool against my face, the city noise somehow quieter than usual. I wasn't powerless anymore. I was in control. Every lie they'd built was about to crumble under the weight of truth. That evening, I sat by my window, scrolling through my emails when my phone buzzed. Notification: house sale confirmed. Amount $860,000. My heart skipped. They'd actually sold it. My home, my dream, my years of sacrifice. Gone with a single wire transfer. But then I saw it. The small note below the transaction. Status: suspended. Funds on hold. Fraud investigation pending. A cold satisfaction spread through me. Every step I'd taken that morning had worked perfectly. The money had hit their account, only to be locked there, untouchable. I opened my banking app and took a screenshot. $860,000, transaction suspended, Dryers under review. For a few seconds, I stared at it, the numbers glowing on the screen. It was proof that the storm had finally turned in my favor. Then, without hesitation, I opened our family group chat, the same one where Lena had once bragged about finally living her best life. I attached the screenshot and wrote only one line. You shouldn't have underestimated me. It took less than 30 seconds for her to respond. Lena: what did you do? Evan: you'll regret this, Maya. I took a slow breath and typed my reply. Calm, controlled, final. No, I just took back what was mine. After that, I turned off my phone. I didn't need to see the chaos that followed. The panic, the calls, the desperate excuses. They had played their game. Now it was my turn. Outside, the city lights flickered across my window pane, and for the first time since losing everything, I felt something warm settle inside me. Not revenge, but relief. Justice had finally arrived quietly, efficiently, and it came with a price tag of $860,000. The day of the arrest felt unreal. I was sipping coffee when my phone buzzed, an email from my lawyer with the subject line: update, they've been taken in. For a moment, I just stared at the words. Taken in. 2 simple words, yet they carried the weight of months of pain, betrayal, and sleepless nights. I clicked open the attachment, a police report confirming that Lena and Evan had been arrested for fraud, forgery, and identity falsification. The headlines followed hours later. Their perfect image shattered across social media. Local couple accused of property scam. Fraud scandal rocks Patel family. Their faces, once so smug and confident, now stared back from mugshots, drained of color. Stripped of pride, I should have felt triumphant, maybe even happy. But as I sat there, the coffee growing cold in my hands, all I felt was tired. The court hearings dragged on for weeks. I had to relive every humiliation, every manipulated signature, every lie. Lena sat at the defendant's table, dressed in a pale blazer that tried too hard to look innocent. Evan avoided my eyes, but Lena didn't. She met my gaze with that same smirk, faded now, weaker, but still there, as if she still couldn't believe I'd beaten her. When the judge read the verdict, her mask cracked for the first time. Guilty of fraud, forgery, and unlawful possession of assets. Lena's lips trembled. Evan hung his head. I expected satisfaction. Instead, a strange sadness welled up inside me. This was my sister, the girl who used to braid my hair before school, who cried with me when our parents fought, who promised we'd always look out for each other. Somewhere along the line, greed had taken her place. A week later, I returned to my house, the place that once symbolized everything I'd lost. It was empty now, hollow like a memory that had outlived its joy. The scent of their perfume and aftershave still lingered faintly in the air, like ghosts refusing to leave. I walked from room to room, touching the walls, the furniture, the windows. Every inch of it had a story, not of luxury, but of survival. And as sunlight streamed through the glass, painting golden patterns on the floor, I realized something profound. This wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about closure. That evening, I called my lawyer and instructed him to transfer a portion of the recovered funds, nearly $100,000, to a women's shelter that helped victims of financial abuse start over. The rest I used to build a new life, far away from the noise and memories. During the final hearing, Lena finally spoke, her voice trembling. You always thought you were better than me. For a moment, I looked at her, really looked at her, and saw not a villain, but a broken woman who'd mistaken envy for ambition. I didn't reply. I didn't need to, because for the first time, I truly was. Not richer, not stronger, but free. As I walked out of the courtroom into the warm sunlight, I smiled, not for what I'd won, but for what I'd finally let go of. Months passed. The storm had finally settled, leaving behind a silence that felt both strange and healing. My new apartment was smaller, humbler, but it was mine. Every corner free of lies, every wall echoing only peace. I spent my mornings with coffee and sunlight, not court dates and lawyers. Life was ordinary again, and for the first time in a long while, that felt beautiful. One quiet afternoon, as I was paying bills on my phone, a small notification appeared at the top of my screen. Incoming transfer, $100, from Lena. I froze. My heart stuttered in my chest. I opened the transaction, half expecting it to be a mistake. But then I saw the note attached beneath the amount. I'm sorry, just 2 words. No explanations. No excuses. And yet, they carried a weight heavier than any sentence the court could have given her. I sat there staring at the screen for a long time. For months. I had imagined what I would say if she ever apologized, how I would confront her, how I would make her understand the pain she caused. But now, all I felt was quiet sadness, because this wasn't about money anymore. It never was. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. I thought about the little girls we used to be, the ones who promised they'd never let the world tear them apart. Somewhere along the way, that promise broke. I didn't reply to her message. I didn't need to. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It means letting go of the weight that keeps you from living. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, I smiled softly. I had finally moved on.